Welcome back, everyone, to Cyber Voices, the official podcast of the Australian Information Security Association, also known as ASA. I am your host, as always, David Savva-Willett, and it is my pleasure to bring the diverse voices of the Australian cyber community to you today. And today we have got a particularly special voice. I'm really excited to chat to him. We are here at BrisSEC 2026 here in beautiful sunny Brisbane in the great state of Queensland. I'm having a great day getting to meet some of our Queensland cyber community and ASA members. And today I am talking to Atticus D'mello. So Atticus is a higher degree research student and emerging cybersecurity specialist with a strong all-rounder skill set, bringing experience across governance, risk and compliance, blue team security, offensive security, vulnerability research, and applied cyber defense. His work combines rigorous theoretical research with practical real-world technical solutions. Through his role that he now has with Safety Net Cyber, Atticus has undertaken multiple research and penetration testing engagements, identifying, validating, and responsibly documenting vulnerabilities across major platforms and services, including some you've probably heard of: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Gmail, Outlook, and a lot of other widely used systems. Beyond vulnerability research, Atticus has developed innovative techniques for recovering disabled, compromised, and lost Instagram and Facebook accounts, assisting individuals and organizations in regaining secure access while reinforcing account protection measures. Atticus D'mello, welcome to Cyber Voices.
Thank you, David. Definitely sing my praises a bit there. That sounds amazing. Who is this person? Can't be me, you know.
Well, that's your profile on the BrisSEC website, so it must be you because your photo's next to it.
Yeah.
And how are you finding BrisSEC so far?
Oh, it is amazing this year. BrisSEC has always been one of my top events, especially for newcomers and students and stuff. And this year has just been incredible so far. There have been so many people who are coming here just to connect, and it is insane to see the diversity in students, staff, industry practitioners, everyone, all of them connecting. It's amazing.
It is amazing. My first time to BrisSEC. So
really?
yeah, I'm a Victorian, and I have gotten around to some of our other SEC days in the past, like Sydney and Adelaide. This is my first time to Brisbane for BrisSEC, and yeah, there's a good energy out there. We've got roughly 600 cyber people out there.
Last time I checked, we were fully sold out for this event, which is crazy to think about because you see the size of this venue and everything. We are at capacity here. It is insane.
Yeah, but it also creates just a fantastic energy out there on the floor too.
Indeed. It's such a welcoming, open environment for anyone. Newcomer, seasoned practitioner, anyone.
Yeah, and you're talking today. Is this your first time talking, or are you a bit of a seasoned professional with this?
I wouldn't say seasoned professional, but I have done a few presentations before in my time.
Talk that you're doing today is Inside the Mind of an Attacker, which is a detailed look at bypassing a popular social media's account creation limits, which is fascinating. And Atticus, if you could set the scene for me, where did your interest in researching and testing the security of social media and other broad, platforms that are broadly used in society come from?
So just to set the scene a bit, the company I work for, Safety Net Cyber, our entire mission essentially is to provide enterprise-level security to the common person, specifically around social media platforms. We see every single day people falling for phishing attacks, emails promising free meta verification, all that kind of stuff there that just ruins people's accounts almost, and people get hacked, and it's just like that there. With this research, what we want to do, as good as it is to help people recover their accounts, it's only a corrective measure. The best way to help people is to prevent this from happening in the first place. And one of the key vectors of attack we did notice is that it would always be just a random account. Someone messaging someone like, "Oh, hi, I noticed your profile. You seem very cool. You want to be friends?" Or literally, "I have a podcast. You should go view it. Click this link." That was such a common attack vector. And what we found is that these accounts, they come up dead dry. They're not linked to anyone. So we were asking ourselves, how is this possible? How can someone make an anonymous account? And if you look online, there's absolutely nothing out there about this. Probably because it is buried under layers and layers of security jargon and inside communities. But this is a bit of a close-kept secret in the attacker space. So our main goal, we wanted to map that out because the best way to prevent an attack is to understand the attack. And we were able to do that. We were able to identify key vulnerabilities in many platforms that attackers are actually exploiting that allows them to make anonymous accounts or even botnets in some cases. And because of that, we were able to bring that to these companies and say, hey, look, we were able to get past your controls doing this here. It's not complicated. You need to fix this. And I can proudly say, as of this week, I believe a lot of the issues we've found have been fully patched, which is, it's a small win, but a win nonetheless.
Really reassuring to see that, the platforms that you're working with here are taking this seriously, right? Because, I'm a social media user, as a lot of us are. I have a podcast, so usually social media is a good way to promote yourself. But yeah, these bot accounts and these, fake accounts they are running rampant. Is there anything you can tell us about how you were able to get under the hood of how these attackers are managing to bypass these account creation limits?
Yeah, so a key thing to note with all of this, we didn't approach this from the perspective of a security expert. We approached it from a low-level hacker, someone who maybe has a computer, maybe $10, $20, and just wants to cause a bit of damage, because that is the 90% when it comes to malicious attackers. It's always those low-level, low-experienced people who are just pen testing and trying to break through any way they can. So with that, essentially what we did, firstly, we focused on 2 specific platforms, trying to keep it very consistent here. And we restricted ourselves to only what a typical person online could access. So no crazy hacking tools, no stuff that costs $500, no going on the dark web and buying accounts like that. We just want to see what I could reasonably do with my laptop and a bit of time. And what we did essentially, firstly, we just made an account, went through the process and mapped it out step by step, essentially trying to get an idea about, this is what you have to do to make one. This is the steps involved. We then identified, how could they identify us? How do these platforms actually track us in this kind of instance? For some cases, it is through an email, maybe IP address. Some kind of verification steps are always involved there. We mapped them out to get a clear idea about how these platforms prevent account abuse. And then we worked on how could you exploit it with the resources readily available. And essentially, we were able to find an exploit for almost everything, essentially. But it did take a good minute, Yeah.
You say it took a good minute, but it doesn't sound like it was overly complicated, right? If you could have figured this out from your laptop at home, it would probably be pretty easy for, anyone who had half an idea about what they were doing to be able to figure it out as well.
Exactly.
Right?
It was something as simple as you just had to sit with it, throw a few things at the wall, and eventually things just clicked. And it was crazy when it did happen, because it happens at the most unexpected time, You're at a stage, you're trying different things, and then you realize, wait, that actually worked. This temporary detail got through, or this proxy bypassed all the detections there. And the thing is once you discover it, it is so easy to pull off. It does not take money, it does not take skill, it does not take a large amount of time. It's just knowing that you're able to do it no problem,
Yeah. And how big a problem is this? I mean, you say it's great, it's been patched out now, and I imagine that, there'll still be people who will still be trying to figure out ways to get past it. On a scale of, in terms of people doing this just to try and make a quick buck in their basements, to full on nation state attackers, how big a problem is, or how common is the exploitation of these vulnerabilities?
So, the exploitation itself, to be honest, is not that damaging. Just having a few extra accounts doesn't cause a lot of issues. In some cases, you can sell them online for a few dollars, but it's not like it's causing a lot of issue. The key problem here is that this becomes a gateway, essentially, for further attacks. Say, hypothetically, you wanted to bully someone online. You wanted to annoy them, you wanted to insult them, but you didn't want to get banned yourself. If you had 10 accounts that you could control, no link to you, you could do that so easily. And we know firsthand mental health perspective here that would be detrimental to someone like that. Moreover, there's also artificial engagement. Say you wanted to, promote a podcast or something. You could use these kind of accounts to be like, oh, I love this podcast. It's amazing. You should all watch it. And all of a sudden, people see that. It builds up the trust in it. And people are much more likely to watch that or invest in that crypto or sign that petition. It's a gateway to so many more problems that have very real-world consequences. And even in extreme cases, these kind of accounts can be used for mass phishing of governmental workers. It can be used for promoting massive scams. It is literally the gateway to so many malicious attacks.
Yeah, and I like that you've talked about sort of the scale in which this could be exploited and what it could be exploited for, because I think that in the discourse we have in cybersecurity circles, I think we often forget that the more personal impacts of things. And, because there are people out there who are being bullied online by burner accounts or people who are agitating social and political discourse online with, what I've heard referred to as burner accounts.
Literally, yeah. This is a surefire way to just make dozens of burner accounts. And when the risk of being identified is no longer present, malicious people can do whatever they want, because what's the worst that happens? A bad account just gets taken away. They have 24 more just in the back,
Yeah, and I've often wondered when I'm reporting an account that is clearly either, I want to say, fake, let's just say fake, or a burner account, right? How much am I actually helping solve the problem when I do that?
You do help quite a bit. It is, when you're reporting individual accounts, a lot of times that account will actually get taken down, especially if it is doing something wrong. I can speak from experience. We have seen dozens of accounts that hackers use to communicate with victims. They use it as like, oh, this is a cryptocurrency expert. You should contact them. And if we report them, or a few people report them, that account will actually get taken down and require further review. The issue is, if people can just come straight back from that, they don't need, that takedown doesn't actually affect them a lot. They don't get attached to these accounts. And reporting them is just putting a Band-Aid on a gash, It doesn't fix the issue. It just slows them down a little bit. And with the exploits we found, theoretically, I want to emphasize this, theoretically, someone could just make hundreds upon hundreds of accounts if they really wanted to. And reporting then just becomes meaningless,
Yeah, well, I mean, and that was kind of why I asked the question, because me being who I am in the industry that I work in, I'm like, absolutely, I'm going to report this if I can clearly see that it's spam or a scam or a bot or what is something I've seen happen as well with friends and family where their accounts become compromised and then that account becomes a platform for cryptocurrency scams or whatever else. So I will always report, but I often wonder if it's superfluous activity. But it sounds like it's a convergence, right, of users making sure that they do the right thing and calling it out when they see that this is clearly a bad thing, but also people like yourselves and vulnerability testers actually, and the platforms stepping up and identifying, hey, we've found this loophole, we need to find a way to patch it out.
Exactly. Like, reporting accounts is the best thing users can do. It is a corrective control to restricting access here. But the issue will still remain as long as people can make bot accounts. It's the best thing we can do, but at the end of the day, we need to stop this at the source. We need to stop fraudulent accounts from running rampant. We need to stop those very, very few individuals who are able to exploit these systems. That is the real solution here.
Yeah, definitely. And from the sounds of it, depending on what platform you're on, we could be seeing one of the major ways in which this is being exploited has possibly been remediated, which is really, really exciting to hear. I wanted to also switch into something else that was in your profile, which is about the regaining access to compromised accounts. This was something that interested me when I was reading your profile, because I mentioned just before, I have seen friends and family who are unfortunately not as sort of switched on as I might be. I'm on social media, but I've got my accounts as using every single feature that is available to me to keep those protected. And even to as often as today, I got an email this morning that someone was trying to trigger a password reset on my account. And that's been happening a lot lately. But coming back to my point, I've had a friend just recently, everything got taken over, and it started slowly with they managed to change his recovery email address, and then they were started posting. Click this link. I've discovered this new crypto scam.
Bitcoin, they're like, oh, vote for me for this podcast, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually they just remove that person's identity and they start posting as if though they're someone else completely different.
Yeah.
You've done some work in this space in helping people and businesses recover these. Can you tell us a little bit about the work you do there?
Yeah, so our main goal essentially when that happens is immediate recovery for those accounts. So the way we go about it, we look at it from an attacker's perspective. How are people actually breaking into these accounts? And how could we reverse engineer that? So a common thing that happens, it normally happens through phishing emails or a phishing message. Someone will say, oh, you've been granted meta verification. Just type in your password, your two-factor, all that here. And the thing is, that is a very successful technique because it preys on people's trust of the platform. They have the logos and stuff there. It looks professional. It doesn't look like a random like Nigerian email, Nigerian prince kind of stuff. Phishing has come a long way there. What we have been able to identify, though, are the platforms these hackers use to actually control the account. So something you'll realize, if an account gets hacked, it normally contains temporary anonymous details. Obviously, if you're a hacker, you don't want to put your personal email on the account you just compromised. That's a one-way ticket to get caught, you know? So if you Google temporary emails, there are dozens upon dozens of services. They'll just give you an email that you can control. The thing is, and here's the funny part, a lot of those temporary emails lack security precautions, and many of them we are able to access ourselves. The key challenge is identifying them, which we have a few techniques for. Sometimes we're able to get emails of that. Sometimes we're able to trigger a password reset. A few different techniques to pull that off. But we trigger that, we can grab the actual email that the hackers initially received, and we can almost reset the password back to what it was originally. We then get in, we change the details of it back to the person, and the most important thing, we lock it down. We make sure that this can't happen again. We add 2FA, we add recovery codes, we add selfie video verifications, all of that kind of stuff. And most importantly, we provide awareness. The key way these hackers are getting in isn't through zero-day exploits or through crazy hacking techniques. They prey on those who don't fully understand the system. They profit on those who don't know about 2FA or those kind of security controls. And we make sure that those people understand how important this stuff is and how much of a stopper it actually is to these attacks.
Yeah, because not most people, but there's still plenty of people out there to this day that still think, why should I do MFA? Why should I get my recovery codes? Why should I spend time going through my security settings? Why? They wonder why anyone would care about their social media. And
Exactly.
it's not about them as an individual. It's just their account as a platform.
Yeah. Attackers take a shotgun approach to hacking, you know? They're not picking a single target because that's putting all your eggs in one basket. They will send the same email they send to you to 5,000, 10,000, millions of people every day. And all they need is one person to click that link and they're through. You know, you're only as secure as your weakest link when it comes to security. And that's what we're trying to make clear here.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, something that we talk about on this podcast a lot is that, you know, the weakest link in the chain. You know, you're able to offer some help to probably organizations and some individuals who have this happen, but it's a pretty scary day for, you know, someone when they've realized that their social media has been taken over, right? Like you've got all your trusted friends and family contacts on there, probably lots of photos and videos and memories and all that kind of stuff. What advice do you have for someone if this has happened to them, if they log in one day and find out that that's the case?
Firstly, stay calm. What hackers and attackers are counting on is for you to panic and for you to give in to their demands. Most attackers will reach out to you and they'll say, oh, pay me $500 and I'll give your account back. And unfortunately, a lot of our clients fall for that first. They send the money, but the attacker is never going to return that account. They're never going to willingly give it back. You give them $500, they're going to ask for $1,000, and it's going to keep going until you're out of money or they get bored, and they never get bored. Secondly, you want to start going through all of the standard recovery methods. many platforms, such as Instagram and Facebook, offer a way to get back into your account using selfie videos. You just need to take a breath and go through it all. Forgotten password. I can't access this. Go on Google and look at the forms for that kind of stuff, See how you can get your account back from hackers. It is a bit of a knowledge thing there, but a lot of platforms offer that kind of recovery service that is so much more straightforward than what we have to do. And finally, if it does get to a point where you can't recover it for whatever reason, things are getting bad, what you want to do is then reach out to your friends and family. Make sure it's clear that this is not you.
Report the account.
Exactly, yeah. Or if you're not even going to report the account, make sure they don't fall for it further. Because one of the key things these hackers like to do is they propagate their access. They get access to, mother's account. And then they use that account to message all of her children and friends and everything, saying that, oh, I've been nominated for this award. Can you vote for me? You just need to sign into the Instagram on this page. And then they get those accounts and then they push it even further. We've seen this time and time again, and entire friend groups, families, communities have been affected by that. The key thing is they can only do that kind of attack if we unaware and caught off guard. But if we stay calm, if we respond to it, if we let people know what's happening, they lose all their effect, actually. And you never trust a Bitcoin account when you know that person doesn't do Bitcoin, Making that clear to everyone just stops them in their tracks and makes that account essentially useless.
Yeah. And it's great to hear that the platforms have provided methods in which people who have had their accounts stolen to get ways back in. And then that leads to another question I was interested in asking you. And in your experience, what have been some of the positive steps forward in account protection from social media platforms? And what else do you still think needs to be done?
So social media platforms get a lot of bad rep when it comes to hackers. A lot of times people like to point and blame that, oh, this platform was the one that did it, or they didn't provide enough controls, but they try and do a lot for security. The main issue they have is just awareness around that kind of stuff. They need to make people aware of this is the kind of security you need. This is the kind of things that can happen. A good example that I will give is with TikTok. Something interesting I learned about them, they have mandatory 2FA, and you don't even realize it. But when you sign up and you get a code to your email, in order to change any details, you need to do that again. And that immediately makes an attacker hesitant to do that because they can't just use a password. They need an email now. They need a lot more access that is difficult to get. That kind of security by default is what stops these attackers in their track.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really, really good to hear as well. And I was unaware that, platforms like TikTok had made that mandatory. And it's so funny because I hear from friends and family, they get so cranky. I'll hear them muttering in the corner and they're like, oh, this stupid text message thing, rah, rah, rah. I was like, it is important and you need to respect
Would
it.
you rather have a few seconds of inconvenience or a few weeks of panic stress because your account got fully compromised?
Exactly.
It sounds, you don't realize it until you see it firsthand, but these security controls are literally the best deterrent we have.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think anyone who has been compromised will probably agree with it. It's a story I've told on this podcast a few times, but my partner is a big social media user and I had to set up their MFA and so on and so forth. And literally a week later, started getting, MFA prompts, via text message and email going, why am I getting all these? I'm like, because someone is trying to hack your account. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I guess it is worth all the stress. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are the most common mistakes that you still see people making on social media in terms of security and or account protection?
Almost all the attacks we see, a good 80% of them come from phishing. It is the most common attack vector because it preys on, unfortunately, the weakest link, us as humans. It strings to our emotions using legitimate logos and serious-looking websites or emotional messages that ask for people to contribute. It preys on that emotional human side, and that's why it's so effective. It makes you think not from a critical, is this a security thing? And more so from the perspective of, this person just got nominated for an award, I should help them. Or this person just got, lost their phone, I should give them some money. A good example I found that happened recently with one of my clients, they had compromise that came from a meta-verified email. An email from Instagram.com looked very legitimate, and it literally said, oh, you've been offered meta verification because you've been on Instagram for so long. Congratulations, so happy. Like, when someone sees that, they don't immediately think, oh, this is a hacker trying to exploit me. They see that and they think, wow, this is great, I get that blue tick. I get that, extra recognition. It's amazing. I spend so much time. And by the time they realize, it's unfortunately too late for these kind of people. Phishing is the ultimate issue here when it comes to security because it preys on us.
And it works so quickly as well, right? Because as you said, it's often too late. Exactly. From the moment you enter in that password, boom, someone's on it and they're probably trying to get into your account straight away.
Exactly. And by the time you realize, they've already changed all the locks, they've gotten rid of all the codes, and they've locked you out completely. And you start panicking, you get worried, and that's when the demands come. That's when people start demanding money, demanding this, saying they're going to post this, post that, ruin everything for you. And unfortunately, hackers know this and they prey on the emotions of people. That's how they get us, not through complicated technical hacks or zero-day exploits, but through appealing and manipulating us as people.
Yeah, and you know what? It's social media is here to stay, and no matter what you do, if you create opportunities for scam and exploitation of everyday people, it's been happening since time immemorial, right? And social media is just another avenue. I think it's probably just a lot more visible given the prevalence of it. Finally, I think just to sort of wrap things up, you're doing a lot of work in this space, and congratulations on the work you've done to help reduce the amount of exploitation of vulnerability around the creation of multiple accounts. I think that is absolutely fantastic given how much of it is actually out there. It's amazing to hear that there's people like yourself and your organization working behind the scenes to keep everyone safer in their everyday digital lives. What do you think is something that we all need to be doing differently to help create, to make social media, I guess, a safer and better place for all those who use it?
From a security perspective, the ultimate weapon we have against attackers is each other and knowledge. Awareness can stop an attack happening well before it gets to an extensive level, So my advice for everyone in the cybersecurity field, don't be afraid to talk a bit about what you've seen, especially to elder people who aren't as native with technology. That awareness is what stops these hackers in their tracks, and it makes us as a community almost immune to it. When you can spot these, you can mitigate it and almost prevent it immediately.
That's incredible. Well, Atticus, thank you so much for bringing this really incredible topic to BrisSEC. We are recording before you do your talk, so best of luck with it. I'm sure it will be very well received. I'll let you get out and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much for sharing your voice with us today.
Yeah, well, thank you again for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Cyber Voices. Our music is by Sanar Garut, our show artwork is by Studio Quarantine, and we record our show at This Is a Studio in Pran, Melbourne, part of Popplant Productions. Please make sure you follow the show on your podcast platform of choice and leave us a 5-star review. This will help others find the show. Also, please follow the association on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you want to add your voice to our ever-growing chorus of diverse cyber voices, have questions, feedback, or would like to be a sponsor, you can do so by emailing us at cybervoices@aisa.org.au. That's cybervoices@aisa.org.au. Are you an AISA member? If not, you should consider joining our network of over 12,000 members across Australia. An AISA membership can open doors, build professional networks, create lifetime friendships, and offer exclusive training, events, and other perks. Become a member today by heading to our website at aisa.org.au. That is all for today. I hope you will join us again next time on Cyber Voices.